Do you have a preschooler that just doesn't seem to be quite keeping up with their peers, and are you wondering maybe there's something more going on? While there is a wide range of areas that can impact a child's ability to learn, today we are going to talk about red flags for dyslexia. The first thing that I'm going to talk about today is a child's ability to learn and appreciate nursery rhymes. If you have done nursery rhymes with your child and read repetitive books and books that are familiar for your child, but they just aren't seeming to recognize kind of the sing-songy nature and aren't able to start filling in the blanks on their own, that is a red flag, because we want them to be tuning into the language and the sounds of the words. And if they're not tuning into this, that is a sign of possible dyslexia. The next area we look at is if a child has a difficult time producing some more complex words, or just general also speech intelligibility, which I'll talk about just in a little bit. But difficulty producing some words such as saying paschetti instead of spaghetti, or saying Don Nemo instead of domino. So you can see that they have the sounds in the word, but they're mixing it up. That is a classic sign of dyslexia, because dyslexia is in the sound processing portion of the brain, and kids have a difficult time sequencing sounds, so they can exhibit these errors in speech and then move on to having these same errors when they're trying to read and spell as well. When it comes to speech intelligibility, if your child is difficult to be understood, that's a concern right there. By the time a child is 3 years old, they should be about 75% intelligible. That means we should be able to understand about 75% of what that child is saying, and this is to unfamiliar listeners. By the time a child is 4 years old, we should understand about 100% of what that child is saying. If your child is having a difficult time being clearly understood by others when they are 3 and 4 years old, I highly recommend that you go get a speech and language evaluation done by a speech pathologist, because they might be able to help with some interventions so that your child can be more easily understood by others. The next area that we look at is having your child having a difficult time learning the letters in their own names. This is typically where we start when we are teaching letters or spelling. We start with the child's name because that's something they're interested in and something they know. But if you've been practicing this for a while and your child just doesn't seem to be absorbing that or remembering what letters go with what sound or how to spell their names, that would be a concern. Also, if your child is generally a late talker, did other peers start talking before your child and your child took a while to begin to talk, that would be a concern there. Along these lines, includes if your child had a diagnosis of a speech or language disorder or delay. That is another red flag for dyslexia. The last few things that we're going to talk about is thinking about if your child had a difficult time learning your phone number. So something that you can repeat over and over again and try to get your child to remember something familiar, but they're just seeming not to retain it and remember it. That could be a red flag. Also along these lines is a child having a difficult time remembering colors or numbers, names of places or people that they're around with. Often we see word recalling difficulty in young children as well as older children and throughout a lifespan of people who have dyslexia. So if a kid is having a hard time seeming to recall things that you've done over and over again, that could be a symptom of dyslexia. Also, dyslexia is a wide spectrum of skills that children can do and can't do. So your child might not have all of these and might have some other symptoms that are included. I wanted to list these so that you could be aware of some of the signs and symptoms, and then start tuning in a little bit more and looking, oh, could there be something more here? Oh, my child does this, this, and this. I wonder. Let me learn a little bit more and see. I will also include a link below to the International Dyslexia Association, which has a lot of great information about dyslexia and things that you can be aware of, and some suggestions of how you can help your child in the early learning stages. If you're curious about good ways to read to toddlers or preschoolers and kindergarteners, I have a video on that as well, so you can look on my channel and find some suggestions for that.